this is a conference that's absolutely for you. So since we are doing double duty today, it's two folks that are going to be involved in this presentation, and therefore two that are here. We're going to start with Dr. Jodie Solberg. Good afternoon, or morning if somebody's on the West Coast, or...
I'm a West Coaster, so it's still technically morning for me.
Okay, absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. Where are you now?
So I am in Washington State. I'm kind of halfway between Seattle and Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And we will, in a moment in time, jump all the way in the other direction. Yes. But let's, a little bit about you for anybody who doesn't know you, who's seeing you for the first time. And kudos to you, by the way, for being the first presenter to join me in doing these. And this has been multiple conferences that I have been doing these interviews for, who has linked up, and we're now streaming on your channels as well, which is fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a StreamYard fan, absolutely. And it's a really great opportunity for us to be able to get the word out there about the conference and about my talk. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. I love being able to get the preview and kind of start mapping out my weekend of being in Detroit. And it's difficult because there are so many great presenters there.
It is. It's really challenging. I was looking at the time I'm presenting, and there's 4 of us and so many people I want to see. So recordings are always a good thing, but it is difficult to make that decision of where you're going to go for each of those hours.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about what you do in your background for anybody who doesn't know you, and then we will introduce our second guest and start talking about the talk.
Yes, I have a surprise special guest for us. So as you said, I'm Jodie Solberg, and I have been a clinical hypnotherapist for, oh goodness, about 24, 25 years now. I started actually back when I was in grad school for clinical psychology. So my background is psychology and sociology, and I hold a doctorate in counseling. And basically, for me, I wanted to get involved with hypnotherapy and get certified when I was in school. I was inspired by one of my professors who was a hypnotherapist. We had that option. I was very fortunate that I was given that option to be able to go through. It was the Oregon Society of Clinical Hypnosis that I originally got certified with. And for me, it just made sense. It was a no-brainer to say, well, why wouldn't I want to help people get results faster? Instead of just talking in circles for years and decades, I wanted to be able to help them get to that root cause and be able to move forward. And so that's how I originally started. And my background has always been in these different generational cycles, things like trauma, addiction, often things like anxiety as well. And I've worked with all ages. So, always worked with families as well as individuals. I've worked with children. I work with people who are having children, all the way, from 3-year-olds to 73. Beyond. And so I have quite an extensive history of working with this cycles, that sometimes are perpetuated throughout our lives and throughout multiple generations. And so that's really what I'm really passionate about talking on, is how can we use hypnosis to shift those patterns and shift those cycles. And especially when we're talking about things like addiction, because often it's a coping strategy for people from sometimes, childhood wounds even. And so that is a little bit about me and why I decided to bring my business partner and my co-trainer along with me today, who's actually going to be making a guest, not so surprise anymore, appearance at my talk in Michigan as well. And so you have any other questions before I introduce him?
No, I think we should introduce him because it's also a fantastic opportunity. So on the preview page, it gives the West Coast time, and it gives the East Coast time, and it gives the UK time. And we're going to have this stream with people from all of those times, which I'm excited about. And that's just a little bit of a, nerd envy in me or something.
Yeah, I think it's fun too. Absolutely. Yeah, we are very much international. And so, yeah, I'd love to introduce, like I said, my business partner, my co-trainer. We teach a new approach to hypnotherapy for addiction when it comes to solution-focused and trauma-informed techniques. So we've brought our two worlds together, literally and figuratively, because he is from Ireland and his name is Cormac Colleran. So you can bring him up and he can tell you more about himself and what we're going to be talking about.
Wonderful, and welcome.
Hi, folks. Great to be here. And good evening from Dublin. It's 7 p.m. here.
We have made good on all 3 times listed on the preview. We are broadcasting at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m. I am excited to have actually touched the base and not just put them on the slide. So tell us a little bit more about you and your background, and then we'll get into this amazing talk that is going to be available in just a few weeks. Not even 2 full weeks.
I suppose I got into hypnotherapy in order to be a better coach. Previous to that, I worked in medical device and pharmaceutical sectors. And if anyone is aware of those sectors, they're highly regulated. The big thing about it is continuous improvement of processes. And so I say to people now that I got out of continuous improvement of processes and got into continuous improvement of people. And I prefer working with people than processes. My hypnosis journey started in order to become a better coach. So I used to coach people, and we'd set goals and targets and milestones and identify obstacles and figure ways around it. And what I noticed a lot of time was there was still inertia with my clients. And, that led me to asking the question, there's a clear path here for improvement for you. Why aren't you taking it? So that led me to become curious about the subconscious mind, which led me into the study of hypnotherapy and NLP. I didn't set out initially to become a hypnotherapist, but like probably most people that are listening here, once the bug bites, the bug bites. And so I am now about 15 years practicing as a hypnotherapist. I run a practice here in Dublin. I've been training hypnotherapists for many years. I've specialized more recently in work around addiction. And in April, I met Jodie in St. Louis, at the conference in St. Louis. And we got talking, we heard each other speaking, we got talking, and we realized that with Jodie's extensive background in trauma-informed hypnotherapy, and my approach is very much solution-focused, but we thought that there was going to be a good coming together, a good marriage of those two approaches. And as it so happened, a month later or so later, I was running a training in Dublin. And so I invited Jodie to come over. We decided that we'd see she'd come over and run a module of the training, see was there interest in it within therapists that were learning to work with addiction. And wow, there really was a lot of interest in it. People thought it was fabulous. And so we knew we were onto something then.
Fantastic. Well, that's exciting to hear about how this is all unfolding, and still somewhat a new journey with the blending of proven techniques and methodologies, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with regards to people that are watching this and considering going to the conference in Michigan, go to conferences. Great things happen.
Absolutely. You meet people, you connect, you start to learn more and deepen your understanding. We saw each other speak, and we were both connected with the Elmans and becoming Elman trainers with them. And it's a really amazing how you can just build internationally. I have so many friends. I just got back from speaking at the NGH conference as well. And I'm going to see so many people from St. Louis, from Boston, in Michigan, and you really build these relationships. Often we're solopreneurs, in what we do. And so being able to connect with each other and learn from each other's experience is really invaluable. And so, Cormac and I realized that we had a lot in common. We had a lot of things that we talked about in very similar ways. And I actually worked with people almost exclusively around addiction for about a decade of my career. And so we had a lot to talk about. We had a lot to offer. So it was really wonderful to be able to go and share that module and see the response that we were getting. Immediately, people in the training room were asking, when are you going to be doing more of this together? When are you going to be doing more around the trauma side with addiction? Because just with that one module, I was only able to really scratch the surface. And so we've created a training together that is more comprehensive, that's going to be a deeper dive and a more advanced addiction certification training with that trauma-informed lens.
And
Wonderful.
just on that, Jodie mentioned that we both worked with the Allmans, and they were both Cheryl and Larry were instrumental in bringing us together. So it'd be remiss of us not to mention the sad passing of Larry.
Yeah,
Yes.
That was his last opportunity to speak. He gave 3 talks during that conference. We were able to spend so much quality time with them. And then we're very fortunate that, in the months after, because it was right after that conference that he was diagnosed with his cancer, that we were able to train with them online, that we were able to fill in whenever needed and support, and gotten really close with them. And so absolutely, it's just been a great experience. But like you said, going to these conferences is so valuable in who you can also be mentored by and who you can, connect with in ways that you wouldn't even realize, were possible. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Cormac. I think that was really important as well.
It has, and I don't want to get too off on this tangent, but it's been a difficult year for the profession. We've lost a lot of legends over the past year or so.
Yeah.
It's been something else for sure.
Yeah. So it's our opportunity to be able to show up and be able to see these people who, we may not have the opportunity to in the future. Very true.
Well, and now to turn over that leaf and to carry that torch forward and continue to share that knowledge and that expertise with others who will expand that healing and continue that legacy, which is always good.
Absolutely. That's the mission, to be able to train and share these techniques with more people so that they can help even more people. We'll never really know how far reaching that effect is. And especially when we're talking about breaking generational cycles, that's true with us, with our clients as well. When we help one person, it's not just that one person where that stops. It continues on with everyone that they touch around them and everyone in their family and in their lives. And so I think it's a really powerful tool that we have, and a great responsibility as well to be able to share that with others.
And you as a hypnotherapist, anyone watching or listening, especially, from our point of view, working in the field of addiction, you don't know the lives that you're going to change, the people that you're going to help, because you may help that one person that's sitting with you in your clinic, but the help that you give them helps families, helps friends, and neighborhoods, and communities. So it's a very powerful space to be in. It's a very worthy thing for us to be doing as hypnotherapists, working in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, at that immediacy, you might think that you're changing that one person's life or saving that one person's life, but they're connected to so many people. As you mentioned, you're breaking, likely in many instances, a cycle that may be multi-generational of addiction that gets passed on and on. That if you can be part of breaking that chain,
Mm-hmm.
that ripples on forever. And we touch so many people in our lives, and sometimes we realize it, sometimes we don't, and so do all of the people that we come into contact with. So it's really profound.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Let's fast forward a little bit. We've kind of gotten some teasers and beaten around the bush at conceptually, but practically, what can we expect? Mostly lecture, workshop. What's happening when folks get in the room with you guys in a couple weeks?
So you're going to be live with me. Cormac's going to stream in from across the way. And so we're going to be talking about what addiction is, especially when it's related to those generational cycles and when it's related to trauma, and how we can help people to figure out what that root cause is and how we can shift that and transform those patterns. Because like you said, often it's something that this pattern has been playing out for decades, most of their life, or it's been passed down. So we're going to be talking about, how instead of really looking at the addiction as bad or asking why that addiction, we're looking for kind of why is there that pain there that transformed into a coping strategy, a coping mechanism to try to fill a need, right? Maybe that wasn't fulfilled, for example. And so that's the foundation of what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be sharing some different techniques. We're going to be definitely doing some lecture, but absolutely giving some practical tips and techniques and some demonstration as well. Cormac, do you want to talk a little bit more about the solution focused and trauma informed and how they come together?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to say that we will be helping. There's a few very powerful reframes in here, and when us as therapists can help to reframe for our clients that. So they're coming in with the shame of their addiction. If there's a drug addiction of some kind, I do a lot of work here in Dublin on cocaine addiction. There's a lot of shame around it. It costs them a lot of money, so it's having big impact on their lives and their families' lives. When we can reframe that the addiction, rather than it being the problem, that it's the solution at the subconscious level, that it's the solution that their subconscious mind shows, immediately takes a whole lot of weight, a whole lot of stigma off your client. And it's such a powerful reframe to begin to open that space for change. So when they understand that maybe, just maybe, you were doing all you could do, that having, reaching for that substance was your way of dulling pain. So maybe you're only doing what you could do in that moment. Now, so we talk about intention versus strategy. So the intention behind the addiction, the intention behind the use, the intention was a positive intention. It was there in order to help to protect or nurture or soothe the client. It's just that the strategy of choosing that substance, the strategy is all wrong. And so if we can help our client to understand, and then we can even talk to them, we give them this in a pre-talk, but also in some of the hypnotic techniques that we use, that we're asking the subconscious mind, we're saying, thanks for your intention. Thanks for what you're trying to do here. You're just getting it wrong. Go back in and find a different way. So we help our clients in a hypnotic trance to go back in and find a different way of meeting the need, a way that serves the client. So that's certainly one of the probably most powerful reframes, and I don't want to be giving away all our good stuff. There's plenty more. but it is a space for actually that hypnotherapists are going to be listening and watching, and they do need to know these kind of things. So Jodie, you asked about so the solution focused and trauma informed. So I work a lot on solution focused. So where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what's the quickest way of getting you there? So there's a lady I worked with recently. She came to me for quit smoking 4, 5, 6 months ago. And she called me again maybe 2 months ago and said she's still doing really good with, she's not smoking, but she's eating a whole lot of sugar and she's putting up weight. So she's kind of transferred her addiction to something else. And so I told her to come back in. We got talking. And she recounted a story of when she was 6 or 7 years of age. She fell out of a tree in the garden. She hurt herself. Most children, I've got a 6-year-old daughter, she'd cry, she'd call for mommy or daddy. This girl at that time, she realized, she had an older brother who had lots of mental health difficulties. Mom was completely, all the attention was towards him. And so she realized in that moment that mum wasn't going to really be able to help her. So instead of calling for mum, she went to the kitchen and went to we call it a biscuit tin, you might call it a cookie jar. And that's where she got her comfort.
Mm.
So the trauma wasn't necessarily falling out of the tree. The trauma was, I have to deal with this by myself. Mm-hmm. And that's where that opened the space for the addiction. So when I worked on helping her quit smoking, we use a lot of solution-focused techniques. But then when she came back with this, I knew I had to go deeper, and we had to go and actually begin to resolve the trauma. And so the big benefit that you're giving to your client when you bring the two together is that one of the big things you're certainly helping to prevent relapse, but also, and this is something that we've noticed a lot of, you're transforming your clients' lives in ways they were not even expecting when they came into you. They just looked at this surface level addiction that they wanted to get rid of. We helped get rid of that, but we also went deeper to the roots. So any roots that may manifest in other forms, we got right to the roots and be able to help from there. So you're giving them really a life transformation that they didn't even ask you for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so key. Because like you said, often people don't realize that they have that trauma, or they think that trauma has to be this big event like falling out of a tree. But they don't realize that often it's actually things not only that shouldn't have happened that did, but that should have happened that didn't. So it could be not having that safety and security of feeling like you have a parent that you can go to help to calm and soothe you when you fall out of the tree and you hurt yourself. You know, for her, it was that lack of having that support and that ability to go to her parents. And so that's really important.
This story really illustrates so well how and it's through no fault of their own, our clients don't know where the path is. I mean, you have a client who thought that she was replacing the cigarette addiction with cookies and sugar, when in reality, there was a time in her past where she replaced the cookies with the cigarettes. And now you're unwinding all of that back to the core and to the trauma, where if you had asked her 100 times, she would have never connected the cigarettes to the fall. But you got there.
Yeah.
And obviously lasting change that is going to be beyond impactful, because you know about the cigarettes and you know about the cookies, but there were probably 6 or 8 other habits here, habits there, and otherwise that you fixed without knowing that they were an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it does come up. I mean, I've helped people with, help people with one issue. And I know one guy said to me that long afterwards, he said he had a gambling issue, that he did not come for about that never came up. But the work that we did, he told me months later, actually I had a gambling addiction. I didn't want to tell you at the time. But that's clear now too. I feel no need to do it.
Okay.
Boy, oh boy, did those sessions pay for themselves, huh?
They did, absolutely. And that's a big part of what we talk about as well with, fellow therapists when we're training, is that these are expensive habits, expensive in time, energy, money, relationships. And so the investment to work with a private hypnotherapist is well worth it and definitely pays for itself.
100%. Well, that I don't want to give away. We should stop there. I don't want to give away too much more. Any last thoughts before I think that we've got a big carrot that's out there to get people in the room with you guys. This sounds super exciting. I live in a community, and this is not an outlier, but I live in a community that is very, very ravaged by opioid addiction. And while I'm primarily an entertainment and performer person, I've gone through a certification. And if I were going to hold myself out to do any of this work, it would certainly be in addiction help. So I'm super excited and interested. Yes, the stage guy is going to be coming to your talk to learn more about this, because I think that it's something that bringing this home can make such a big difference in this community and in so many other communities, because I'm not in some isolated little island that happens to have this problem. It is all over this country and all over the world.
And all over the world. Absolutely. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And I would just say that, for anybody watching, if you are coming to the Michigan conference, absolutely come and see us and learn more. If you're interested in coming to the Michigan conference, get a hold of Dan or show up and we'll get you enrolled. I know I'm going to be there. I'm going to have a vendor booth there as well. So you can come and have a chat with me. We can talk more about these topics if you're curious. And then also, at the talk, I'm going to be mentioning this as well. Cormac and I do some different free master classes as well online. And we're going to have one the week following the Michigan conference. And so you're more than welcome to, if you're not in Michigan, you're not going to be there, to connect with us. So connect on social media, come and find us, super easy. We're at hypnosisforaddiction.com/masterclass. You can register for that if you want to. We're going to be talking about different things at each of those. And so I know that I'm going to be inviting everyone at Michigan to come and learn some more, because we're going to talk about how, as hypnotherapists, we can get into this niche. We can let people know what we're going to be sharing, so that would be good. Cormac, do you want to kind of talk about the masterclass as the last word and tell them?
Did I get the link right before we go?
Yes.
Yes, you got the link right. Yes, thank you.
So Jodie and I decided that we would put on a series of master classes. Our next one, what date is it, Jodie? 17th, is that right?
16th, Tuesday the 16th, so the Tuesday following the conference.
Tuesday following the conference, yeah. And we laid it all out there. We've got great feedback from it. If you decide to come and join a masterclass, it will be worth your hour. It will be worth your time. Absolutely. We'll give you lots of some simple reframes. We'll go through a few techniques as well. It's chock full of great value for any hypnotherapist, whether you work in addiction or not.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
So again, that is hypnosisforaddiction.com/masterclass. That will be the Tuesday following the Michigan conference. That's obviously going to be covered and pushed at the conference as well. So if you somehow missed that, by the way, there is a rewind button at the bottom, so go back and catch it. But that sounds fantastic. Really, really enlightening stuff, powerful stuff, making differences in countless lives that ripple throughout the entire world. Beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in less than 2 weeks. And everybody out there, be well, be safe. We'll see you very, very soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Between Two Minds Behind the Scenes podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media under Between Two Minds with the number 2 instead of TWO, or under Enter the Impossible. Thank you, and we hope to see you back for the next episode.